Good morning out there. Let me make sure we're connected properly as we start the stream. And we'll get into it. Because I wasn't going to do this, and then I did. Let's see if we're making noise that isn't squeaky squeakerton. Come on. I did. Alright, we're good. Alright, pull that up. And then we'll jump into it. Good morning. Oh, that's fresh. Welcome to Coffee and Resales. My name's Ryan. I get stuff from yard sales, garage sales, thrift stores, flea markets, similar venues, and try to make a few extra bucks online. I live stream a couple times a week when I have something to discuss, usually Mondays, and I think it almost always winds up being Thursdays. I wasn't going to do anything this morning because I came in with one small sale, so I wasn't going to bother. But then, as I walk in the door, my phone goes off twice. I was like, okay, and I picked up a few things yesterday, and so why not? So we're going to jump into this right quick with some sales and some finds. We'll do it. First up, I've been sitting on this one a few months, maybe close to 6. Harmonic Materials in Tonal Music, a programmed course. Part 1, second edition, $10. Music books sell, but you kind of got to look them up because not all of them do. This was a little specialized, so I picked it up and gave it a shot. I don't know that I'm making a ton of money off of this one. I think this one cost me more than $1. So at $10, I'm making $1 or $2 at most off of this. I thought it was worth way more than it was. I think I've been drawing the price down a little bit. I think I started at like 20, and it just wasn't clicking. So, but it's going to get out the door, and it's going to help the numbers in the long term. So we'll go with that. Next up, this is a fun find. I'm a little surprised it's this cheap, but it's still a lesson to go for. It's a Cessna 1985 152 information manual. It's a little dinged up. This went for $18. Alternative transportation does tend to sell. And OEM manuals, generally speaking, do okay. I've sold some and not sold some before. But airplanes, ATVs, motorcycles, that sort of stuff does, boats. Those types of books tend to do a little bit better than your car books. That being said, I think I've got a motorcycle book down there that hasn't moved for a while. But it's also like the one in the worst condition on eBay or something. So, but anyway, Cessna. $18 for the manual to a plane that there's like 8 of still. I don't know. Maybe. It sold. And it sold pretty quickly. I think I picked it up last week before. So it went pretty fast. And this one, I have had this one, I don't know that I've had this one over a month or two. Religious Liberty, Volume 5. Free Speech and Establishment Causes. This went for $30. I'm not sure if this has a real feel of being a college text. So it was one of those situations where you had a handful of other copies on the internet from thrift sellers and some of the big box guys and bulk sellers and stuff, and they run the prices up because there's not that many online. And so I just made sure I was the cheapest and I had good pictures. And guess what? When you're the cheapest and you have good pictures, yours is the one that's going to sell. So keep that in mind. That went for $30. So good find there. It hit a few bells. Religious Liberty is a big, thick textbook. It's fairly recent. So if it was like 5 or 7 years old, it may be a little. But if it was really old, it'd have been worth a good bit. And if the more recent, it's worth a good bit. That's the type of thing that it's a specialized enough that edition almost doesn't matter, because it's not like your 101 textbooks that get reproduced every year, every other year. So something to think about there. Okay, fines. Fines. Cha-ching. And what was that? We gotta find out. This is like weirdest stream ever. Or was that one? We gotta find out what that was, because it just has changed. What's changed? Okay, that was that. That was that getting... the phone tends to lag a little bit behind the rest of like your PC and stuff. So anyway, next up, finds, stuff I found. This deck. This is more Abeka paperback readers. These have a little age to them, but I have not ever been able to not sell Abeka books in the long term, and now's the time to sell them. They have a lot. It's homeschooling is ramping up. People need material for their classrooms or for their homeschool rooms, and those can go. I've sold some of these books for $5 a piece, but typically it's one of those they go in the $3 range. All right. Next up, we're going to dig some stuff out. This is going to be an attempt. I think I've got one other book. Mary Poppins in the Park by Travers. I may be able to get $10 for both of these. And I've got one other that I may be able to like throw it in and run the price up maybe more to $15 for 3 Mary Poppins books. It's one of those situations where there's not a whole lot of sets of Mary Poppins books out there. So if you can find them, they're not intensely valuable, but it's one of those, if you can put more than one together, you may have something there if you can get them cheap enough. So I'm hoping kind of in the $5 a book range if I can get them lighted up. Next up, Laura Ingalls Wilder, West from Home. Gonna kind of put it with some other Laura Ingalls Wilder's books and see if I can get it moved that way. Another homeschool sale. This one's a little weird. Far Side of the Lock. This is like somebody who took the Little House series and kind of expanded it. This looks like it's a $10 to $15 book. This is like a kid's paperback. So it's worth. And I looked it up, so it may be worth. A little bit to try to jump on. Next, for all you, let's see, Rebecca books. Big haul of those. For you, paperback lovers, these are ones worth lighting up. James Bond books. And there's about 8 in here. 6 or 8 of James Bond paperbacks. These aren't really valuable. Even the old ones aren't, which surprises me a little bit. But this is a series that was produced. I mean, this is like, they're all kind of in the same series. I've got a couple of older ones. I'm going to throw these on Facebook Marketplace with the other ones in a couple of paperback groups. See if I can get $3 a piece or something like that for them. See if anybody will bite. Maybe even a little bit more. I gotta look them up and make sure I'm not sitting on something, but I'm pretty certain that's a $3 to $5 per book. Another James Bond book by not Ian Fleming. there's sort of a love-hate relationship with those. And finally, Nirvana book with guitar tabs and all that sort of thing. So there's that stack of stuff. That Nirvana book, probably $10 to $20. They band guitar tab books can range anywhere from, they usually sell, and I've seen some go pretty significantly high, and I've seen some with like no, at $5-10. So, but usually you can find a buyer for them. And finally, it's hard for me to pass up $2 for a Bible commentary from like 1896. This is on the Book of John. It's not intensely valuable, but there's not a lot of copies out there, and I think that's the nicest one. So I'm going to try that and see how it goes. This will go, another one, great text of the Bible. This is another, I think, in the, if I remember right, in the $20 range. No, it's an older book. It doesn't look like it had a dust jacket, so I snagged it and picked it up anyway. We'll see how that one goes. Finally, this is a little bit of a curiosity piece. Living Speech Revised. This is, I don't know what this is about. First speech course in secondary school. Okay. Public speaking. There's only 2 or 3 others on eBay, priced pretty high, just like this one. No recent sales, but at $2, I figure if I can get my pricing under the ones that are out there, and what's the date on it? 1949. May have a good shot. So we'll see how this one pans out as well. You know me, I love old books. It's hard for me to pass them up. 2 other things, toy-wise. This one isn't worth as much as I think it was hoping, but for $3 I could not grab it and at least have it on display in the background. There's an Aquaman figure from the Justice League series of the early 2000s. One, go watch that series. It's very good. Justice League Unlimited was the one right after it. 2, the figures tend to have pretty good value from that series. I have sold pretty good batches of those over the last couple of years. So I snagged, this is a 10-inch figure. This one's probably in the $10 to $20 range. So I am hoping to get it sold. But if I don't, he'll make a neat background piece and you'll see him as we go along. And finally, this bad boy. This is not a G.I. Joe vehicle, but it is the same size as G.I. Joe vehicles. This market used to be a lot bigger in the early mid 2000s with guys doing custom work and that sort of stuff on G.I. Joe figures and stuff. This is actually by Chap May, but this is a really, really neat. I'm not saying I'm going to keep this, but this may go in the background. I may throw a figure in it if I find one that'll work. Sort of armored car, whatever these things are called. I thought was pretty cool. It was $3. This may be a $20 vehicle. If it's not, that's fine too, and I will put it on the background as well. So I thought this thing was pretty neat. So keep your eye out for G.I. Joe size stuff. Some of them, I know the Leonard, the Core, made some pickup trucks that at one point were fairly valuable. That I have one of, and I think I'm going to keep it because the thing is cool. And don't discount busted up G.I. Joe vehicles. There's a market for some of those. Now it may be easier to sell them locally to a local collector. I know a few guys here that I flip stuff to occasionally when they answer their private messages. But other than that, good to go. Alright, so that's my stuff. One other experiment I am trying is Magic cards. I recently got myself a TCG Player account. And I am going to try and list cards on it to resell. I've got some Pokemon cards and I've got some Magic the Gathering cards. Actually, got a bunch of Magic the Gathering cards. None of them are super valuable. I've flipped a bunch of them already, like the ones that have significant value already on eBay. But I'm going to try TCG Player as an experiment. It's free to list. They just popped it open for people to create new accounts. So I figured, what the heck, let's give it a shot. And I had a couple batches of Magic the Gathering cards and a handful of Pokemon, and I'm always picking them up because I know enough to grab them to flip through them when you can get them at like 10 cents a card or cheaper. So that's what I did. I've already made my money on all that stuff. But it's worth, I figured it'd be pretty cool to learn something, a new platform. Is also one part of it. I occasionally try out new platforms to see what they do. You've seen me. I've done Parsmark. I've actually done Macari, and which I may go back to, but when I have time and feel like it. What I really want to do is I want Pengo Books to open their platform up to where you can use it on the computer and have it go that way. But you can only use it via a phone app, and a phone app for listing is inefficient, in my opinion. It's easier to do on the computer at home or a laptop or something like that. Listing on the phone doesn't give good. You can get a better listing when you do like this. So, and do it faster and that sort of thing. So, anyway, that's my call today. So, like, comment, subscribe. Got any questions? Feel free to pop them out.